Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first, I guess what you call it, watch party over on my channel on Twitch. I'm Reina Creole, and I have my toxic femme co-host, with me. How are you doing, my dear?
I am doing great, Lorena. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm doing awesome, and I'm so excited about what we have going on here. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, it's just awesome. So I'm going to do this so people know exactly who we are.
Mhm.
Yeah. So again, folks, welcome to my Twitch channel. I literally just kicked it off not too long ago. If you've been watching my test streams on Twitch and getting a kick out of me screwing up buttons and everything, now I'm actually doing this stuff for real. So we figured we would kick it off with a watch party of a series that I didn't know about until told me about. So, do you want to tell us what we are watching and a little bit about what the series is about since you got me hooked on it?
Yes, of course, Lorena. And hello to everybody who is watching. We're going to be reviewing and watching a series called Reacher. It's based on books by an author by the name of Lee Child about a man who is a retired military police officer who finds himself embroiled in sort of a illegal operations and decides that he's going to do something about it. And it, of course, it stars Alan Richson, who you probably know from Titans, which was a very popular series. And it really is something very special. And so, of course, when I saw the advertisements for it, I immediately brought it to Lorena's attention.
And I'm so glad she did. I, she's just like, oh yeah, it's a show. Reacher, have you heard about it? I'm like, Amazon. I don't know if I really want to see that because the last thing that I saw on Amazon was Coming to America 2, and that was freaking awful. So I'm like, I don't know if I really want to deal with that. And I Google it and I look and I'm like, oh my god. Okay, yeah. So gonna watch this. So the show dropped, binged all of the episodes. So I've probably seen all the episodes at least twice. So it was so cool. So I talked to her and I said, maybe we should do like a series of watch parties and kind of like review the episode. So that's what we are going to do. Okay, I see a bus.
Okay, yep.
Okay, you see him walking?
I can't, I think I can.
Okay. And you should see a pair of boots. You might be about 3 seconds behind me. Twitch is about 4 seconds behind broadcasting
Right.
with what I see. So basically, our boy is walking into the local diner and witnessing a domestic here, some dude who decides to be a real ass to his girlfriend, you know,
Yeah.
that kind.
Yes.
Why would you want to call some dude taller than you by like a foot, outweighs you by like 100 pounds? You don't say
Hmm.
when are you looking at a-hole. He's like, I'm looking at you. I love how he says nothing. He just stares him down like he's like nothing. He's like, okay, I'm just having a bad day.
He really is. I mean, I wouldn't even say anything to this guy, but he's just a little punk, isn't he?
Yes, just some punk ass. I love this because I've been in some of these little like diners in these little small towns. And that's a damn shame because he's got the pie like
Right.
up to and about to take a bite, and you just hear siren.
He just puts it down. He knows the deal. I have a feeling he's been in that situation before, hasn't he? Like he knows what to do. Do you notice that he's not
Yeah,
panicking anything? And I'm
no, he's
like,
just like, okay, I'm gonna pay for this.
but boy, that peach pie sure looked good. Oh, look at him.
he's holding that shotgun like he hasn't done that in a while. He's like, okay,
The kids at the
okay.
counter, like
They're just like, we're just doing whatever. And wait till we go to school and tell them what happened. What did you see yesterday? We saw this big ass dude get arrested.
that's exactly what they believe. Oh my God. When he held up his arms to behind his head, like his biceps, they just popped
I
out.
know. It's like, do
Damn,
you have to arrest him? Do you really?
come
Just
on.
let him stand there like this. Hey, Dad, man, I see you. You can see, but not hear. I think the building I'm in doesn't like Twitch. Twitch is real. Eh.
Mm.
This is the third time I've had to start the stream for it to stick.
I gotta say, this woman, she certainly holds her countenance because, we both know what she's thinking right now.
Mm-hmm.
Who is this guy? He is so
Like,
hot.
you need to not have that shirt on. That's pretty much what you're thinking.
I mean, he is, and he's mysterious because he's not saying shit.
No.
So quiet.
Usually it's like, no, I didn't do anything or whatever. He's just, mm-hmm. You don't have to answer any question that you're asked. That's how you can tell he's a operator.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And this guy is so out of place from like his demeanor, like his dress, everything. My question is like, why is he wearing such hot like clothes and stuff in the South?
Yeah, it's not only hot but also humid there. It's like a double thing. I don't get it.
Mm-mm.
Why the vest underneath the jacket?
Who wears that kind of suit anymore? Yeah.
Like maybe some very, wealthy high level executives maybe. I love the looks on his face. The looks that this man gives him are priceless.
I love it. He's like, I'm not intimidated by you.
God. Oh, Jesus.
That's the part I like, at least not recently.
I love it. He's telling the truth. I mean, they wanted the truth from him and he's giving it.
Mm-hmm. It's like that phrase, the truth is stranger than fiction.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do have friends like this who don't have any like social media anything.
Mm-mm.
And I'm still very surprised that they just don't, but they don't. Like they're not on, the system almost.
Yeah, it's like they're off the grid pretty much.
Mhm.
It's like they don't deal with that. I kind of envy some of them that way.
Come on, he doesn't look like a murderer. Come
I
on,
know.
come on, guys, look at him. I learned a lot. I didn't know subsonic meant silencer. Did you?
I did not. I had no idea about that. I'm like, oh, okay. The fact that he knows firearms and he's literally profiling who the perp could be. It's like, okay, you know this guy. This is not like some bubba you pulled off the street.
No.
didn't expect that line because it was me. Hmm.
I heard of people doing that, going to places where a singer was, and they want to learn more about him. And I, it's not so unusual.
No. What cracks me up is this guy acts like it's some kind of weird, some kind of weird occurrence. I love when he says that. Details matter.
They sure do. They sure do. And it's just unbelievable. I don't think this police officer was expecting, this detective was expecting somebody who was so well versed in this type of work.
No, because you could just tell by his demeanor and how he talks to him, like pretty much, I know everything, you know nothing. And the more it shows that he's knows a lot more than he lets on, probably more about law enforcement than he does. Finley seems to get more and more haughty. I kind of get that. I'm like, how come you? Of course, you pack fireworks.
Well, maybe not on a moving truck.
That's true, but they're boys, so I totally get it.
So he's an army brat. That's what we would call them, right?
Yes,
Or,
exactly.
maybe not the army, but one of those.
Military brats.
Yeah.
Friends of mine who were military brats, it's like they had to move around a lot. So they had to make friends like relatively quickly when they would go to a new place.
Clearly, this is where the badassery comes from, where it started, right?
Mm-hmm. I like how he says it's not just your fight.
It
He's like,
isn't.
that's his brother. So he's going to back his brother up. Yeah, no two people who wrote Book of Boba Fett. This is how you do flashbacks.
I can't even go there. There's so much that was just not there.
Not at all. It's just like a flashback should give you some exposition, but still leave a question when it's done. Because we saw this flashback and we're like, okay, we see him as he's younger, but it's just like, what happened after that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, you just have to wait to find out. But it gives you that nugget, kind of like trouble always seems to find him. And it's like, it's been happening since he was a kid.
Yeah, I would give him a cup of coffee too. What am I saying? Of course, I'd walk over there and give him a cup of coffee. He's
Heck
giving her
yeah.
the eye. She's giving him the eye.
Mm, I would give him a cup of coffee and a donut. And I would make a special trip or send somebody out to get him a donut. I would. Totally. Yeah, you can't keep that because you drop that mug and break it.
You only have enough for everybody in the precinct. So
Yeah, so they have to swap it around. That's a small town. I love badass female cops, especially the ones that are like they're not real big in stature, but they just command authority. That's why I like her.
she's exceptional, honestly. Having to deal with everything that goes on in that precinct must not be easy, especially there where they all know who you are and where you come
Hmm.
from and all that.
There's no anonymity in a small town. Like everybody knows everybody else, everybody's business, whose house you're going to visit. Nothing stays a secret,
No.
which is why it works so well as a plot here, because in a town where everybody seems to know everybody else and what's going on, why is there this mystery?
I thought this was a very interesting twist to the story that this guy would confess this way. I was not expecting that. Were you?
No, not this fast. Usually it's, no, I didn't do it. You must got me confused with someone else. He just flat out says, oh, yeah, I did it. It's like, we got 8 episodes of this show. What do you mean? It's like that episode of Next Generation where Data's trying to solve a mystery and he goes in the holodeck. And as soon as they start the thing, he rips the guy's shirt open and pulls open a picture. And he's like, you're the killer. And it's like, we just got started. I thought that was pretty genius. I did not see that coming. It's just like, okay, why?
So in the course of like a few hours, now they have 2 suspects for the same murder. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
Mhm.
And both suspects don't look like suspects at all. This guy
No.
couldn't kill a fly, could he?
No, he just
He's
looks
like,
like a pixel pusher, scared of his own shadow. I mean, look at him. He's just like, I don't want to go to jail. I'm going to Pound Me prison. I don't want to go there.
He's afraid of Reacher, who's like all tied up anyway. And the police are there. Like he's not alone. They're not alone. The cops can see the cell.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're off in some corner somewhere down in the basement. He's acting like, oh, I love this.
Oh my God.
Outside uncuffed. Yes.
It's just a shadow of things to come.
It is. I mean, I think they're probably as marveled by his appearance, because there is something to be said for his appearance in this story, is that he has this presence about him and they can't help but notice that. And in that town, honestly, it's he stands out like a sore thumb, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So he gets on everybody's radar.
Mm-hmm.
And especially since he's former military, and this is going to figure in a later episode, you can just tell that kind of person sticks out.
Another thing too is that they sometimes these guys, they notice every detail. Like if you go out with somebody who has done a job like this or was in the military or did investigations, they're like, oh, I noticed. And I said, well, I didn't even notice that at all. Like, I don't even care, but they notice all these details that, I didn't even see it.
I know. That's why I think it's so cool when he's like, hey, details matter.
Mm-hmm. But he's the kind of investigator, it seems, that they need right now. If he's throwing information to help, he's assisting the police, for heaven's sake. Like this is, and doing a profile on this guy.
Yeah. See, because he sees that and we see the same thing. Why does this guy looks like a fish out of water? Why is he in this town? He doesn't fit, and not trying to fit. And that's the other thing. It's not like, hey, I'm down south. I don't need to put this on. I don't need to put this on.
Oh, as he's walking towards him, it's like
he's so uptight. He's like, please don't kick my ass. Although we as the audience, we could totally understand.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, get out of my head. That's what I said. I'm like, they're in Georgia. There's a fault line. So why is the water moving in a glass like in Jurassic Park?
This is another thing, like how he noticed how nervous that other police officer was when that other guy was brought in. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Just from his body language.
he's still nervous. Look at him; he's all
I
freaked
know
out.
he's pulling on his collar. He knows they're out of their element. And Reacher just shows them just how out of their element and how over their head this is. Oh, that's a Yankee move. That's considered to be very rude. Somebody's telling you what they did, with their family, and just like, no, I don't want to hear your life story.
Oh, I didn't know.
I just noticed that the second time around. That's another way that shows Finley just doesn't want to fit in, doesn't care. And he's an outsider in a small town. That's a very New York thing. Doesn't go over well in a small town. What do you mean, let no one says? Yeah, he helped too. See how haughty he is. He's just like, no, you showed me up, so I need to throw you in jail.
I thought that was unnecessary, but it's the story, and maybe that's more realistically what would happen, right?
There's so many cases where, they can put you in jail with like probable cause. And if you don't have a lawyer to bust you out, really quickly, you can sit, in jail, which is the step before, sentencing to send you to prison. So yeah, more often than not, I could see that happening, especially since they don't have a whole lot of space in their jail.
No, it's like little one room thing in the same area where the police are, so you can't
Hmm.
ignore your prisoners. Like, come on, let me
Yeah,
out, let me out.
they're gonna send them to county, kind of like with Orlando PD here. If they don't have any room in their particular jail, they're gonna send you off to the Orange County jail.
It's probably like some kind of law. It's like, if we have too many prisoners, well, how many are too many? One.
Hmm. Yeah, like I've been in some local PDs. Well, okay, it was a school trip, all right, where they had, I think, like 4 holding cells on a weekend. That's not gonna work. So that's why they ship you off to jail.
Mhm.
And they got him in the prison van.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
You know, okay, oh Lord, this part right
Oh
here.
yeah. Oh yes. It's happening. Something's happening here.
We're gonna need you to bend over and cough.
Oh my God.
You know what? That's illegal. It's like there's this really, really big fit guy, and then there's this like really wimpy looking guy scared of his own shadow.
Mhm. Yeah, this is not a doctor. He's not a doctor examining you.
No,
So, what is this about? He just likes to finger people, I guess.
you never know.
Mhm.
No, that's why they have to take it apart. I have heard cases of it happening.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, he got out of that one. Now, I'm sure that everybody who watches films like this would see this scene and say, that looks like a regular prison cell, like in a prison. In other
Hmm.
words, like on the wards or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But when I saw this, I'm like, oh, okay, this is just where they keep people. But that's why I was so surprised to find out, in the morning, so to speak, that they're in general population of prisoners. I was just so shocked. I wouldn't have known that. But
I wouldn't either. So I think that's just how they wrote it and how they shot it in order to surprise us. I think that was awesome. Because Jessica, we're just here in
but
the
once
side of
again,
jail.
Reacher's the only one who goes out to even investigate this. Like the other guy, he's
Mhm.
like all terrified
I'm
and
gonna stay
frightened.
here in my corner because he knows nothing about being around people like this. And Reacher, since he was in the military, he's been around some real scumbags.
Mhm.
So the first thing he's doing is checking the perimeter. And
Now
it's so
these,
funny. It's like we don't know, and then it's just like
you think those are your new best friends out there? Reacher goes back in his
he
bunk.
just calmly strolls back in. Dude's like, what? And anybody who's ever seen a prison movie is like, oh, this is not good.
Nope, you're ready. Mhm.
Yeah, fresh meat. He's just chilling.
Look at him. He put his hand out like it's like he's gonna welcome him in. Like a.
Yeah, like you got some cigarettes for me? Ah, it's like no, I'm not gonna be your girlfriend. Mm-mm. He's like scared to death.
Yeah, I was scared to death for him. God, I thought, I mean, at least I didn't know what was going to happen at this point.
No, especially
But we
since
haven't,
he's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, we haven't really seen anything like, activity yet. So this is one of the first. I don't want to spoil it, but
Because he's just like, I'm in prison. I'm here in this place I've only seen on TV. I know what they do. He's like totally out of his element.
oh yes, damn, yes.
He said, carry your fat ass out in a bucket. I'm trying to figure that out in my head.
They're like, yes, sir, yes, yes, we'll leave immediately.
Damn. I was like, this guy right here, like,
I think he can handle himself.
yeah.
It's
It's
like,
like,
oh
yeah, to get
my.
out myself. And like, yes, sir, gladly.
They weren't expecting anything like that.
No. Thanks to all you people watching the watch party with us. We are watching episode 1 of Reacher, the series on Amazon. And right now we're watching the scene where they're in the yard at the prison. After Reacher just beat the crap out of one of their boys trying to get some. So
That's right.
yeah. He's like, yeah, okay, whatever. The interesting thing about this scene is if you've ever seen any prison movie, you're not really listening to him right now. You're looking at who's making eye contact across the yard.
So I had just had to remind myself that the head meant the bathroom, the toilet. He said he's going to put the head. I'm like, what's talking? I'm like, oh yes, that's right. It was the bathroom. I forgot that.
I hadn't heard that in a while. He's like, yeah, I figured you were gonna be. Of course, he's not gonna sit out there by himself. He's unprotected. Duh.
Very lucky.
Oh my God, this guy I dated was former military. It's like everywhere we went somewhere, like a corridor or something like that, he was always checking checking each exit around the corner.
Oh my
I'm
God.
like, what? Oh, okay. Yeah, you used to doing that. All right. All right. He's like, yeah, they got good security right here. Where'd you see that at?
Now, he gives him a warning, a very, very kind and nice
Uh-huh.
about this. Yes.
Oh, it's about to go down.
I love it.
Mm.
Oh, oh, man.
Oh, I freaking love that. He didn't even wait.
Oh, God.
Oh. He put his thumb in Dude's eye socket. He didn't even get to use that prison shank.
No.
Oh. This is the scene where you realize he's not just former military.
No, he isn't. He's definitely, like you said, an operator.
He's an yeah. And I love how they didn't tell us. They showed us. And then this dude's like, come on for the warden sees.
He's definitely, I don't know, one of those SOCOM or, one of those special groups.
Yeah, Green Berets. Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
One of those dudes that you send in when you need to get ish done. And he's just like, yeah, I got blood on me. I kicked a couple of bad guys' asses. I can sleep peacefully tonight.
I won't be able to sleep at all after that. I'd be so pumped up and freaked out.
God, totally. Dang, he uptight.
He's very by the book, isn't he?
Very. It's kind of like, what is he trying to prove? I guess. But that's kind of like the foil, the uptight, out of water person in a small town contrasted with everyone else around him.
I love this part.
Ooh, which means he got some shrapnel in him.
That's right.
Yeah.
What you gonna say now?
Mm-hmm.
How you like him now? Yep.
You know what they say when you assume.
Mm-hmm. I love her. What's that guy like doing this in jail? Like, why the hell's he?
I know.
What the hell's boss?
150 cases, all successful prosecution. Yeah, he just made you.
Unbelievable. I mean,
that's what we would like to know. Why is this dude in jail?
Mm-hmm.
And guess where you just sent him?
I have to say that his credentials are unbelievable.
They are crazy. I know a couple guys who have like a silver
Wow.
star, bronze star. I'm like, how did you? And they told me the stories of what happens, like how they got them. It's like, dang.
What's even more remarkable is I hear a lot of them saying that they don't deserve it, and I'm like, "What? You so deserve this. Stop saying that."
I think some of them are just really they're just really humble to just like, you know what, I just did my job. I didn't do it thinking I was gonna get, a bronze star or a silver star. I just did it. But it's just like, man, I hear the stories. I'm just like, God,
Mhm.
what? I love how he looks at him like, you saw what? Rocket who?
Now he's like honestly, he's like my brother. My brother could just eat. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be
Hmm.
like in the most disgusting, dirty, horrible place, and he'd be like, "Yeah, oh, let me eat soup. Yeah, this is delicious." And I'm like, I can't eat anything like in that kind of, you know what I mean? Like I would just be like, I can't eat right now. But he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I can eat. I can eat." I'm like, "How can you?
It's like,
Aren't
how
you?"
can you eat at a time like this? They're just like, I'm just hungry. Shoot.
Yeah, he's nothing's gonna stop him from eating. He's gonna make sure his body gets the nourishment he needs so he
Hmm.
can be in top form. And that's what he's thinking.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think this is the part where I'm just like, you know what? I would have made you a way better sandwich than that.
Maybe some pickles, a few chips or something, right?
I would have made
And
a
beer, just a little
panini,
beer on the
some ciabatta bread. I mean, for kicking that many asses
side.
and
That's right. He deserves a
paralyzing that
little
many
something
people.
special. He has
Yeah.
little boar's head meats or something. I don't know.
Nice and layered on real good. Put an olive on a
That's right.
toothpick and
That's right. With the little green thing hanging off of it.
Yeah, he's like, I need to be out of this town like yesterday.
Yeah. I kind of like that they did show this because it shows sort of this process that, as you said, a lot of towns go through, where
Hmm.
they'll take somebody in, process them, put them in, and then they come out, and it's like I knew it happened, but I didn't really know all the details, and it's kind of a lot that they went through over a 24-hour period. It's like, damn.
Hmm. I watched a lot of jail shows. My favorite, well, one was called Jail, and another one is called Love After Lockup.
I remember this PBS one called The Prisoners of Cell Block H, and it was a big deal. It was a woman's prison. It was like 1970 and 80. And my mother and my aunts like watched that every week, and they were like, "Well, I wonder what's going to happen next week." And I'm like, "It's a dramatization. It's not even like hardcore." It was like it was so popular back then. So
I remember hearing that one.
Oz was like the one that I think broke the rules, right? Oz was
Yeah,
the one that I
that
guess that
one
used
was
to
just
go.
like no holds barred, just gritty. Just that one. Oof, man. Just want to learn what a prison shack was.
Yeah, you learned it all, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, this is, like your best day as a police officer in the Margrave Police Department.
Hmm. I
You get
get
to
this. Oh, go ahead.
you get to pick up the former, detainee,
It's
right?
really
Like,
hot. Put him in
mhm,
your cruiser.
mhm. And
Yeah,
he's
that's.
got your back, right?
Oh
He's got
yeah.
your back. This
Oh
is
yeah.
not. He's not gonna be like, if something goes down, he'd be like, "No, this isn't happening on my watch." That's
Mm-mm.
how he is.
Yeah. He's like,
So,
I got you.
mhm. He's got a little charm to him too, doesn't he?
He does. He does. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, all right. What do you want? Okay. Okay. Puts you at ease. Let's put it that way.
And he does. And let's just be honest. This actor, Alan Richson, kind of oozes a sexual bravado that is very appealing.
Very. And I think that's most likely why they cast him as his character. Hey, deleted scenes.
Hey, Stephen, how are ya?
So glad you're here. So glad so many of you here watching us in this watch party here. We're watching the first episode of Reacher and doing our commentary as we watch. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can log in and watch along with us. We are at the, I want to say, what minute mark are we in here? I want to say what, the
39 minutes.
39? Yeah, 39-minute mark. We're watching Reacher. He's out of jail. He's out of jail. You have to go back and watch that prison bathroom scene. That's all I'm gonna
Yes.
say.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
conclusion of that was definitely worthy of a sandwich. So now
Yes.
he's in the thrift store getting clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That was done purposefully. I don't care what anybody says. That
totally.
was
This is what sells it right here. Goodness. Oh my God. Does he have like
certainly
a 12 pack?
unlimited pack. And then she's like very, I wouldn't say snarky, but very, she's flirting with him. She's flirting with him
Oh,
100%.
absolutely.
She's totally flirting
And
with him.
it's and we're gonna talk about this. But it's like it's like you can't blame her. Even though she's professional, it's just like, yeah.
I'm just going to take a stroll down Main Street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stranger in a strange town. Words. And I love how they shot this. She pulls her kid to the side when he comes walking through. And this is a small town for you. Everybody knows what's up.
Mm-hmm.
They know you got arrested on suspicion of murder.
That's right.
That's why everybody is looking at you.
They don't need surveillance cameras in this town. It's eyes on
No.
everything.
Everybody's a surveillance camera. Don't go ignoring me now. I know my cousin is the sheriff. Dang it. That's another small town thing. They're like, it's time for me to have lunch. I don't care who you are. Wait till I get done. That is one of the hardest things to get. Like, he's totally at ease with it because he's used to be in so many places and so many cultures. And it's just like he just fits in real easy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He gets to touch him.
I know, right? And he gets to give him a shave. Oh my gosh. One of the most masculine places to go was the Art of Shaving stores. If you ever go there, it's like the hoity-toity go and get like an old-fashioned shave.
You just walk into the store. I'm like, I'm just here to watch it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm like, I'm just here to watch. Can I have you know? I'm just here to watch. I'm here to watch and smell. That's all. That's all. This is like old school because you don't see this. I mean, with like disposable shavers and ones you can do at home, it's like it used to be that you always went and got something like this done.
Right.
Now it's like a spa for dudes.
Exactly.
It's funny how much he knows. Hmm. He got to handle some business.
Absolutely.
And he says, "Keep my seat warm." I'll be right back.
I love this line. I love this line. I'm sure he's been eyeballed by many
Oh,
women wherever he goes.
all the time. Like, hey. Oh, dang. Fact that he says, "You want me to lead or what?" Hmm. Interesting how they dropped that in there.
Yeah.
And you notice how he's not like super rattled, but it's kind of like he just
Well,
kind of gave him this look like, really?
anybody telling you to watch your back is not a comforting kind of welcoming comment, but you know, my money's on Reacher if it
Yeah,
had to come
especially
to
that little Weasley dude telling you. It's like, who you gonna watch? Me kicking your ass?
Mhm.
She sounds like, yeah, I'm disappointed you not either. It's like, I don't care if you believe me.
Is he somewhat curious as to what's going on anyway, just out of his own experience, just curious as to what's going on in this little town?
I would think so, especially as he's a former investigator. It's just like you can't pass up a good mystery. It reminds me of like some of the coroners at CSI where they just have that graveyard humor telling you stuff happens.
But he's wearing this kind of like bright yellow shirt, right?
Uh-huh.
And he's not, he's or yellow and white, thing. He's just kind of like it, almost innocent for a medical examiner, isn't he?
It's almost like, are you in the right job? He's like,
You
please say
might
you
kill
know
the
who did it.
first. And those are not nice.
Mm-mm. He's just, you can tell the poor guy is completely out of his element.
Totally green. I mean, he knows how to write up a report, but I somehow
Mhm.
don't even think he's ever been to a murder scene. That's what I think about him, which is fine. But you know,
And it's just like when you start hearing him rattling off how specific things are, it's like you already know.
this is so tough.
He just confirms what we already figured out.
So incredibly sad. And this certainly adds to the, like, what the hell is going on in Margrave?
Mm-hmm.
He just came in there to get a piece of peach pie. And now, he's got the shock of his life.
He just wanted to find out about Blind Blake.
That's right. That's all he came here
That's
for.
it. That's all I came to find out about Blind Blake. And I get
now,
arrested for murder.
and finding out that his brother was one of the victims. This is like, I was totally blown away by this too. I can't even believe it.
So now he just like the investment just went up. Before it was like curiosity, but now finding out that his brother died in the same town, now it's like, okay, now it's personal. You don't need to stop touching me. I love what you do. I'm going to separate y'all.
Yeah, really. Mm.
He's like, okay, since you asked, I'm upset and I'm beside myself, but because you asked me, because it's like she didn't demand, she asked, kind of like
Yes.
pleaded, can you just, I got you. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, why does that not surprise us?
I know. It's like we're waiting for it. We're just like, come on now, you got to do something. You were not just going to walk away from this.
No.
Oh man, that is just absolutely amazing.
I have to say, Lorena, I haven't watched a show that's as perfect as this one. Let's say a murder mystery, if that's what we're calling an action murder mystery. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was just so blown away by how perfect it is and how the character um, was just spectacular. This man is someone who has, so much going for him, but he's chosen to kind of be on his own and, stay away from other people, which you can clearly see. He wants to kind of have a lifestyle where he can kind of go freely to and fro, it seems like. When the police officer had said she couldn't find out any information on him, and how strange that was. And, you kind of realize it's like, well, he's been in the military he lived on military bases his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Then he had a military career. He went to West Point. Now he kind of like doesn't want to have to answer to people and, have to do all that stuff. I can understand how he might just want to kind of go ahead and travel and have fun on his own time. But I'm sure he never expected something like this.
No. It's just like it seemed like all he expected to do, because it's kind of like a lot of people who I know who are former military. They're like, I'm out. I don't have to have somebody tell me where I have to be, what I have to do. I'm just going to go do whatever it is that I want to do and enjoy it. And he thought that maybe he'd finally have some downtime, not have to investigate a-holes, not have to have people shooting at him, not have to have people putting out IEDs, not have, stuff like that. Like I can finally relax and not have something happening, and have to be so hyper vigilant. And then he just goes to this small town just to chill out and, have a good time and do something that he wants to do. And the next thing you know, he's being arrested in the small town when he knows he hasn't done anything.
He hasn't done anything at all. Just standing there looking good.
I know, looking hot, about to eat some pie. Some good old, and it's a hole in the wall diner, so the pie is good.
Yes. And the waitress clearly said, "It's the best we have in Margrave or in Georgia or wherever, it's the best we've got." It's like, if
Mhm.
she's saying that, it's gonna taste good. And
I
oh god, he
know, and
couldn't
you
even get a
just
spoonful in.
no, he couldn't get that in there, and as soon as he's about to eat it, the squad cars come up,
Oh,
and it's just like he can't get a break, but as a viewer watching that, it's just like, "Oh, uh, what happened?" People don't just pull up, the cops don't just pull up out of nowhere unless something's going on. So it like puts that thing of mystery like already. It's like we have to find out why he got arrested. Who is this guy? What's going on, and you get invested really quickly because because you saw it's like what he did. First thing he did was he took money out, which I thought was interesting. He's like, okay, they're gonna take me out of here. I'm just gonna pay for the pie, probably extra, and put my hands where the cops can see them.
right there, just right there.
And while they take him away, and he's just like, you don't see that. So it's like, why is he acting the way he is? Why are the cops acting the way that they are? And you just get, it's like a mystery. You have to find out what happens.
It really is like a mystery, and I have to give Alan Richardson a lot of credit just for the acting chops of just, acting and not saying anything. Those scenes where, people are kind of yelling at him and giving him orders, and his, those glances that he gives, his body language, is so important. Not
Mhm.
to get kind of like shot up in this town,
Yeah.
uh, and just, kind of making sure, like, staying quiet and not talking to the police. I've actually read or listened to the audiobooks, and they talk about, keeping quiet when you get arrested, and, like, it's something that you're not expecting, just keep quiet. And he does
Mhm.
that, as someone who, we find out later is an experienced investigator and military police officer. But boy, even arresting someone like him as a police officer has to be an intimidating thing. Those guys were scared of him. They were, I think, legitimately scared of Reacher. And,
Mhm.
Reacher does look like he could kill everybody in there. So, that was a consideration. But also, I think that they could tell that Reacher had been around the block a few times, the way that he allowed them to arrest him.
Exactly. Keyword allowed, because it wasn't like some low level perp. It's just like, okay, I'm gonna take everybody hostage or I'm gonna fight my way out of there. It's just like, yeah, all right. I know the deal. Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta process me, all of that. And he's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. You just have to go through the whole processing. He didn't say hardly anything because you really don't. His Miranda rights, he wasn't giving them any information, or very, very minimal, because he hardly said anything at
And he
all.
he when he walks into the precinct, well, when he's escorted into the precinct, and the officer behind the desk, who happens to be also a very attractive woman, who's
Hmm.
behind the desk, has to process him, and she's like, "You've got to come over here. Don't make me come and get you." And I kind of laughed, and I'm like, if she went and got you, she wouldn't be processing you for an arrest. Like, she wouldn't be doing that. That's not what she would do, but
No.
and he becomes like this handsome stranger. It's like very appealing to see a handsome man be very quiet, and you can just kind
Hmm.
of admire him because he just became total eye candy at this point. And she's, observing him like she's been trained to do as an officer. You're
Right.
going to observe somebody in custody, and she's like, this guy's not a murderer. I think that she questioned, you know, even the arrest to a certain degree, because they could have just asked him to come in for questioning, right, Lorraine?
Right. Right. They could have, just like, we want to, bring you in for questioning. Do you mind coming down to the station? But I think the reason why, and it's kind of to go back to that small town thing, if this small town of 1,700 people probably haven't had a homicide in I don't know how long, I think they overreacted and just went in there like guns blazing. And I think
Yeah,
that's what
well,
happened.
I'm sure.
And it fits perfectly. It's just like, what do you mean we have a murder? Oh shoot, this is gonna spread. People are gonna freak out. We need to just go in guns blazing and all of that. And they bring him into the station, And the female officer's just like, this makes no sense. Well, that too. I'm like, okay, he looks really good. All right. Okay. Okay.
You're right. She
Okay.
did kind of size him up and say, this person doesn't look like a perpetrator at all. In fact, he's not an ordinary person at all. There's something about him. And of course, what he was doing was investigating the precinct that he was in. We kind of looking at the
Yes. At the pictures, at, everything, just like observing what's going on. And your low level perp isn't going to be doing that. They're going to be kicking and screaming and I don't belong here and call my lawyer and, all of that. And he's just very, very calm, very quiet, very compliant.
He really is, and she of course fingerprints him. I have to give them that. They have a modern the fingerprint scanner, which is
Hmm.
and so they can immediately get his prints. And of course, he's not worried about that because he knows that it's going to show his military record
Right.
right away. And
Hmm.
then they would know who he was and all that information. And then his credentials were so stellar, so impressive, like so many military personnel who are out there. And we, thank you guys for your service. Um,
Absolutely.
I have to say that, they kind of throw him in this holding pen, but before they throw him in the holding pen, he speaks to who is the chief of police.
Hmm. Findley. Yes, the guy who is way too overdressed for Georgia. And that's kind of like what I was talking about. It's like this guy, usually if you were moving to someplace like the South, you're usually trying to fit in, especially in a small town, because you don't want to stick out more than you already do. But he sticks out like a freaking sore thumb. Who wears a double-breasted suit and a super tight tie in hot ass Georgia? He sticks out so bad. It's like he sticks out as much as Reacher sticks out with you know, how huge he is and how quiet he is. So it's interesting how, Finley kind of has, like I say, like the Napoleon complex. He's just, haughty and like assuming everything and accusing him of everything. And Reacher's kind of like, yeah, okay, I'll say something when you make sense.
Well, it's very interesting, Lorena, because Finley does exactly what I think they just would have, if they had brought him in for questioning, would have been done.
Hmm.
He would have just said, we had these murders in town and you were spotted, and that's why we asked you to come in for questioning. But
Hmm.
automatically, Finley is on the offensive because he doesn't know this guy. He doesn't know Reacher. He doesn't know anything about Reacher yet. And so he's thinking, this guy could be somebody, I might have to deal with. And I can admit it's totally, I understand why he had that attitude, because Finley knew that if he allowed the rest of the department, with the exception of the woman there, to take him and talk to him, that he might not ever say anything. But Finley is somebody that he could speak to who would listen. And I think he knew that about Finley right away.
Hmm.
So, the other thing I was going to say, Lorena, I was kind of curious as to what you thought about at the point when Finley finds out that, he's so decorated. Is that the point when he's like, wouldn't you release that guy at that point? Like, I'm not quite sure. Like, what do you think?
Um, I almost want to say something that my dad would say. Well, if they went and released him, then there wouldn't be a story. But, but, but in the real world, it's like, yeah, you don't have anything, to really hold him. This does not seem like the type of guy that you would want to keep locked up. It's like he's got a military record, so you can get all of that information about who he is. His fingerprints would already be in a federal database already. So if you were going to try to pin any kind of murder on him or something like that, you just have to run his prints and, they're already there. So I think with this guy, again, I keep bringing this up, the Napoleon complex. He wants to be right. Finley seems to be the kind of guy who doesn't want to be wrong. He has something to prove. He's the stranger in town. So the best way to make himself the hero in this small town is to nail this guy for this murder that happened in this small town where people are freaking out. And you're part of a department that's there, to serve and protect. So I think he really has a chip on his shoulder. So that's why he's just like, you know what, I'm just going all in on this and I'm going to arrest this guy. But also that he's intimidated by Reacher too, as well. I mean, because when he finds out not only about his record, but then he reads the actual story where he went in several times with regard to his own life to go rescue his brothers at arms and to get him out of that bombed out bunker, and then had like shrapnel of somebody's jawbone in his body, and that's how he got the problem. We're sitting there just like, why is this dude in jail and why don't you just let him go? And I think his ego would not let him, you
Could
know.
it also be that knowing that that other guy is a fantastic investigator, criminal investigator, that maybe other than, let's say, the lady in the precinct, he may not have a lot of other investigators that he trusts. And,
Mhm.
it might have occurred to him that with all these tidbits that he's told him about, especially that subsonic thing about it having a silencer, and also
Right.
that oddity of the body being beaten severely after death.
Post-mortem. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was like, well, why is someone doing that? And it's like kind of an odd thing to do that to, well, to anybody, let alone, like a deceased individual.
Mhm.
I think that his approach to it as to why individuals would do certain things and what personalities a person has, like like 007 is going to do that, like
Mhm.
um, an assassin may not do that. But somebody you might hire in the corner for $500 might do something a bit crazier, or throw the body on the side. I'm like, yeah, let's just cover it up with a blanket. Okay, yeah, let's get the hell out of here. So the attitudes and the way that people kind of behave in these situations when they find themselves in a situation they really didn't want to be in, but this is the situation that they're in. I think he was so spot on that it impressed Finley, and I was
Mhm.
impressed by it because I wouldn't have guessed it was three people. I mean,
No, I'm just like, how did you 3 people? As soon as he said that, I'm like, dude, what did you used to do for a living? Of course, this is before we find out about his record, but he's just putting piece after piece after piece together and stuff that we didn't even think about. I'm like, wait, what? And yeah, I agree. I believe that, Finley was intimidated by this. He seems to be, the guy who knows everything. And, you arrest this dude who looks like some kind of hick. And it turns out that he could probably do your job a lot better than you.
he certainly does have a way with his investigations and his observations, which is like maybe 90% of how to
Hmm.
proceed to the next step. And something else that I did want to mention is that, in the Lee Child books, the author of the Jack Reacher series, and it's like 20 books. So,
Oh
we already,
wow!
and we already know we're getting a season two, Lorraine. Yes,
Yes.
yes. It's so great. And what's so interesting about this is that when I've listened to the books, I've listened to the audiobooks, and I think
Hmm.
it may not be entirely apparent because I have to admit to having a certain level of excitement while watching this series for obvious reasons, is because I feel like Alan Richardson has captured this character in a
Hmm.
way that I don't think any other actor has ever captured the role in a series. He, as far as I'm concerned, he is, Reacher to me. And I
Hmm.
think that he's brought this character alive in a way that no one else has. But the books, when I'm listening to those books, he's quite calm and very intellectual and intelligent. And I don't necessarily want to push aside the fact that this is a highly intelligent individual who
Hmm.
happens to be incredibly attractive at the same time. And, it's so enjoyable to see somebody like this, but he's just incredibly calm. Like he has a very, uh, how should I say, well thought out way of thinking and planning when he's conducting an investigation. And so, while it may not seem that way as you're watching it, he really is
Mhm.
like, as he's quiet, there's so much going on that he is thinking. Like in the books, it kind of said, he's like, I've always learned that you always stay quiet whenever something like this happens. You just stay quiet, don't say anything.
Mhm.
And I've heard, Lorena, like through the years, we've seen people who have found themselves in an unfortunate situation like this, and they always say, don't talk, don't say anything. And it seems like it would be such an impossible thing to do, but here he is practicing that same activity. However, Alan Richardson does such a good job of letting us know, boy, the wheels are turning. He's not kind of like out of it quiet.
Mhm.
He is calculating quiet. And when he has something to say, it's going to be something that's worthwhile. And Finley found that out after speaking to him, But initially, Lorena, when I first watched this episode, I remember thinking, um, how interesting the character was, but I had no idea that even in this first episode, I have to say, you're completely hooked to watch this series. There are so many twists and turns and shocking things that happen in it
Mhm.
that you don't want to miss the second episode, and it continues on as you watch it. So, for an opening episode, this is like a 10.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, for me, I love mysteries. I love a good mystery, and I love it if you keep me guessing throughout the whole thing. I didn't think he was going to get arrested before he ate, pot. I didn't think that he was going to get thrown in jail. Thinking, oh, okay, they're going to put them over to the side. No, they wake up in the morning. Guess what? They're in Gen Pop. Okay. You see him like out, and we had actually talked about this during the episode when the other guy, and I can't believe I'm blanking on his name, little Lewis Tully kind of guy, kind of guy who
Right,
confessed
right.
to the murder like right off the bat. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You don't, you don't just, you see guys like that. They're like, you know what? You got a warrant. Okay, you know what? I'm not talking to you. I need to talk to my lawyer. And the next
Yeah,
thing you
get
know,
the
the
hell out of
boozy
my
lawyer's
house.
like, you can't talk to my client. Come on, get out of here. He's like, yeah, I did it. I'm just like, dude, you couldn't hurt a fly. What do you mean you did it? And it's like, we're only like, what? I think like 20 minutes into the episode and it happens. So you're just like, what? Something here doesn't quite, make sense. And again, even in the when they're in the yard, they're in the prison yard, and dude's just like talking and talking and talking. We're not really, at least this was me, we're not really listening to him because Reacher is looking across, he's observing everything, he's looking, and it's like we see his point of view where he sees people scoping him out, and
Yeah.
he knows, something's about to happen. So I thought that was cool how they shot that, and we're just like barely listening to this guy, and he's saying really important, information, but just the way that the Alan Richardson, just how he says so much from his body language that he doesn't have to say certain lines, and
Yes.
that's an amazing part of acting, that you can not only do that but engage the audience. We're just like, okay, what's he looking at now? What's he looking at now? What's he looking at now? Which is why it's so important that when they go to the coroner's office, the medical examiner's office, who looks like he's just wet behind the ears, and the only bodies he's gotten has been from like people who died of natural causes, maybe like in their house, or maybe a drowning victim or something like that, but nothing. This seems like this was his first freaking homicide that he's really had to deal with, and that's why he's so nervous. But when Reacher starts to look at the records, and we're kind of like, well, why is he looking at that? And then when they show him, as soon as they starts rattling off everything and getting so specific, you just get like this pit in your stomach, and you just see the realization on his face while he's talking, and you already know before they pull the body out of the morgue, you already know, but yet he picks up his brother's arm and turns it over. It's just like we knew, but it's like he had to really convince himself that that was his brother, and it is just like, That piece, I think when that happened, because before it's like, oh, I'm kind of interested in what's going on, this homicide, well, whatever, it'll just add to my trip, even though, I'm almost got killed in jail. But no big deal. But it becomes very personal very quickly. And we're just like, yeah.
You know,
That's like what he did to those guys in prison, and he didn't even freaking know them. So what's he gonna do to these guys when he finds out who killed his brother?
well, he didn't even flinch, and when he realized they were in Gen Pop and he tells the other guy, I wouldn't be so worried about anything else right now other than swaps. And the guy's like, "What?" And he's like, "Swaps. They're gonna want to swap you for you. They're gonna want to, And he just gets back up on that bunk bed, and the guy comes in.
I
He's like, "Oh,
know.
what do we have here?" It's like, "I'll give it to the count of three. One, bam, two." Just that male bravado was so refreshing to see somebody kind of like, just kind of setting things right and saying, "No, you're not going to come up in here and." Mess with us, get your butt out of here. And I need a pair of glasses, punk. It's like,
Yeah, he's like, here's
get out of here. It's like, and they're like, "Oh, did you hear? He knocked up so and so. That's all right. We got our other guys with more experience. We're going to come and hit him in when they were in the yard, as you mentioned. Yeah, we see where he is. Yeah. We're going to get him." So when he decides to go to the bathroom, and what was it, like 7 guys? 7?
It was a crew. It was not a small like group of people, almost to the point where just like seven guys. And like we had alluded to in the episode, we didn't know about the extent of who he was. We just knew, oh, he was in the military. That's pretty much all we knew at the time. But when he takes all those guys out, that's when this is not just your run-of-the-mill military recruit. He's, like we said, he's an operator. So that adds again to the level of mystery.
He's completely an operator, like anything special, any kind of special forces, SOCOM, maybe even Navy SEAL. I mean, everything, under the sun, like you said, Green Beret, Ranger, whatever it is. This guy has clearly trained with the elite special forces. And also one thing that I noticed, and to be honest with you, Lorena, in that type of setting, in that type of combative situation that he was in, he really had to do whatever he had to get, to survive. There is no rules in this fighting where he was. These guys were going to take him down, and he was like, "I'm not coming down." And it's like, if I have to poke out one of your eyeballs, I will. If I have to, do all sorts of stuff, I will. And I have to say that level of concentration of knowing that it's either you or them, don't make it you. Make sure it's them. Do everything you can to get out of that situation. And he demonstrated that. I've heard other people who, may have been in situations like that or training to do that. And it's just, here's a perfect example of that, where it wasn't going to be him. He wasn't going to be the one dying that day. These punks were going to go down, and they did hard. And by the time those, police officers showed up, it was like, oh, okay.
What are you doing here? No. The warden comes around, tell him you were in it all the time. Then you're like, okay, we knew something was fishy when they woke up in Gen Pop, but these people, they knew about it. So, man, by the end of this episode, it leaves us the fact that, Reacher's brother is dead, and he's just like, they're like, "What are you gonna do about it?" It's like, yeah, probably gonna have to kill a lot of people. They're gonna kill him.
Absolutely. But the other thing I was going to say is that, and something that I found very interesting about Reacher, and is exactly what you had pointed out, was how he just went to sleep after they were removed from the general population. And, he just was like, "I guess I better rest." And, if it were me, I would be so freaked out. I would be like, "I can't rest. I can't even think right now. I don't even know what they're going to throw at me next." That would be the thing that I'd be the most fearful about, not being Reacher, but being someone else, is wondering, like, if I go to sleep, are they going to come in the cell? Like, what's going to happen to me? But Reacher seemed quite calm. about it. And I think that
Mhm.
that was very interesting, that he managed to kind of suffice what was going on around him. And he knew, Reacher knew we were not supposed to be in there. Like, but I wondered it was because he wouldn't allow the guy to do the cavity search, and you know what I mean? Like, I thought maybe because that guy didn't get a chance to do what he likes to do, which is abuse the prisoners,
Mhm.
that he retaliated and put them in there. But they were placed in Gen Pop on purpose. And that is terrifying, Lorena.
Mhm.
That I don't even know what to say to that.
That just it's almost like, and we've seen this in other, like, other crime dramas where they're just like, "Yeah, we're just gonna put you in Club Fed, we'll put you in some isolated portion," and then they get there and they're just like, "No, we're putting you in Gen Pop." We're like, "Oh, shoot. You're not gonna live if they put you, in there." So, especially if you've seen stuff like that before, when he walks out and his face and he walks back in and they realize they're in Gen Pop, you're like, "Oh my god, I don't think he's gonna freaking, I don't think he's gonna get out of there." It was just absolutely, absolutely scary, but for those of us watching, we're just like, "Yeah, we're gonna see what this guy's gonna do."
Well, it is really interesting, because as we had said before, when the other guy confesses to the murder, and then he ends up at the police precinct, and he goes to the cell, a holding cell that everybody can see, so nothing's going to happen to you in that cell.
Mhm.
But while he's in the holding cell, like, he kind of moves away, like, and stays to one side of the cell away from Reacher, and Reacher looks absolutely harmless. Like, he's kind of like, he's not a bad guy. Like, you can almost tell by looking at him he's not a bad guy. So, you know he's so intimidated. He's like at a heightened level of intimidation that man would not be able to react normally to anything at this point. He would have just stumbled over everything to a point, and would have surely been killed in prison if Reacher were not there. So that's also
Mhm.
kind of very interesting, about that. But the one moment that Reacher gets to stroll around the beautiful city of Margrave, he gets kind of, eyeballed by everybody, and he can't even get a shave in town without somebody coming to bother him.
Mhm. And not only that, it's some snot-nosed rich kid, who looks like he's never really worked a day, in his life. And he asks you, talk about, "Oh, well, my daddy did this." The classic, "Do you know who my father is?" And Reese are just like, basically, "Who are you to me?" And with
Exactly.
exactly, and so with that small town like that, again, like even the scene where, Reacher comes around the corner and a lady grabs her kid. It's like word, gets around, about him in this, in this small town. It's kind of like, well, how's he going to walk around this town where everybody knows that he's been, arrested for murder and he's out? They're like, "Oh my God, can I be next?" or whatever. So you wonder what's going to happen to him, in this small town. And I think that's part of, I guess, the most of what keeps us hooked. We want to know what's going to happen. We want to know what's going to happen with Reacher because we're so invested, especially by the end of this episode. We are invested in that, lack of a term, better term, vendetta that Reacher, is about to go on. And there's going to be a lot of dead bodies left behind. And we're just like, we can't freaking wait to find out which ones they are.
This particular show has such a great story. It has perfect casting. The delivery of and build up, like the tension that is built up, because it
Hmm.
starts off where he's having his peach pie, and then the tension that it's built up as the story progresses is that he's getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into something that feels like it could be really huge crime wise. It's just so
Hmm.
cleverly delivered, that I haven't really seen anything like this in such a long time, Lorena. And it's so refreshing to see how it really does make a fantastic television series filled with action. I think there's something in this maybe not for everybody, but there's something in
Mhm.
this for a lot of people who love action, who kind of love to see, someone right the wrongs, and also, kind of enjoy seeing, a mystery being solved, a real, legitimate crime investigation going on that really has a lot of twists and turns.
It really does. It keeps you guessing, and that's what I like. It's like as soon as you think you have something figured out, they step it up, another notch. I did not see it coming that that dead body was going to be his brother.
Oh
It
God, I
just
didn't either.
I did not freaking see that coming. I thought it was just going to be okay. This stranger hanging around town. Yeah, I'm going to help out the cops because they don't know their ass from a hole in the wall around this town. So I'm going to hang around and yeah, it's going to be a good time. And the stakes totally changed. Did not see that coming at all. And the fact that he's like that near the end, especially since we saw the flashback to when they were kids in the beginning. I think that's the other thing. We saw the flashback to when they were kids. You didn't expect for his brother to wind up dead
No.
by the end of the episode. So we're just hooked. That how to say, first of all, one, like that brotherly bond, number one, shown in a positive light, that brotherly bond between, you know, two boys. That's a very positive thing. And honestly, I haven't seen anything that positive when it comes to boys in a long time that's been portrayed on television. So between you have that, you have the fact that Reacher, yes, he is a trained killer because he's in special forces. It's kind of like what it is, but he's also extremely protective. The scene where in the beginning where, the diner and the a-hole comes out and he's yelling at his girlfriend, just the way that he reacts without really saying it. He didn't say a word. He stared this guy down like, you're wrong. And Reacher just seemed personally offended at what was going on. The guy's like, okay, yeah, I'm having a bad day. That's toxic masculinity in a very good light because he's being protective. And one of the things I think that gets demonized a lot, they want to yell and say, "Oh, men are toxic" or whatever. It's like that's not toxic. That's really not. Men who are extremely buff and very protective of those who are weaker. That's an extreme turn on, which tells me they know their audience.
And you had mentioned that too in the beginning of one of the scenes in the beginning of the episode is where he arrives at the diner and he sees this couple coming out of the diner. And, unfortunately, the man is abusive towards the woman.
Hmm.
And Reacher himself asserts himself. And, he is, protective of the lady who's there. And as you said, he doesn't say anything, it's kind of like, telling him, the guy, that he's not going to stand for this. And I almost was like, well, this guy's in town and he's not going to stand for this sort of stuff.
Hmm.
This guy better watch himself, but I loved seeing that sort of thing. He didn't even have to intervene physically. He just was able to
Right.
assert his authority just by a look.
Hmm.
Which is usually something like your mom or dad could do, like, right? Because they give you that
Totally
look
it.
and you're like, oh, I'm in trouble. Oh my God, I'm in so much trouble. Mom, she let me know that I'm in trouble.
Well, you know what? I'm going to let you have the last word on this since you have read the books. Since you've read the books, how true do you feel the series, from what you've seen so far with this episode, how do you think it compares with the books?
I
Is it
think it's
like in line with it or?
I think it's pretty in line. They do tend to add in some things, but if you're looking for a series that I feel, really kind of is one of the best adaptations of, Lee Child's Jack Reacher series, this is it. This is the one.
Mm.
They do take some liberties in throughout the series, but honestly, it doesn't get any better than this series.
Well, I know for one, I am so glad that you turned me on to this series. It's like a breath of fresh air. it doesn't insult its audience, and just the way that they go with the exposition, the way that they show us. I mean, they tell us things too, but there are things that they take the time to to show us. Really appreciate that, because it's like you don't realize how much time has passed when you're watching this, which to me is a hallmark of some good entertainment, when you're just like, wait, it's over already? But I have so many questions. I have so many questions. Like, how come they couldn't have lingered a bit longer when dude took his shirt off in the thrift store changing room?
I was just thinking
Uh,
about that.
just saying. God, yeah, he's God, he's so good. He's so good. Like, I'm so glad they did that. I'm so glad the female cop is obviously turned on by this guy, because you have
Mhm.
to be pretty much dead to, to not.
And she's a very attractive woman. They didn't do the, incredibly attractive male, unattractive woman thing. She's attractive. And I'm like,
She
thank you. Thank you for doing
yes.
that.
She's very attractive. She's personal, she's
Mhm,
personable. She
mhm.
does not she doesn't shy away from her femininity, but she does her job. If anything, she adds that to her arsenal of how to be an effective police officer. So well, first of all, props to female cops, because I wanted to be one when I was
Yes.
younger.
Oh,
But I love,
really?
yeah, I did before I found out
Wow.
about engineering. I wanted to be like a homicide detective.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Wow.
yeah. But my mom was freaked out about me getting shot. What if you get shot? Ah, okay, okay. She's like, but you have to go to college. It's like, I didn't know at the time that I could have just studied criminal justice. I didn't
You
know
could
that.
have.
So I went engineering instead. I mean, I still do, but at the same time, it's like true crime fascinates me, mysteries fascinate me, criminal mind fascinates me. So if you're literally a fan of like thrillers, if you're a fan of like, mysteries, I will say, even if you're a fan of CSI,
Yes.
definitely watch this show. Because, oh man, you will want to binge it, absolutely. But here on Twitch, we're going to be reviewing and doing the watch party of an episode every week. So next week, same time, we're going to be doing a watch party for episode 2. So please do join us for that. It's going to be great.
Oh, it's gonna be so good.
It's gonna be so good, and I can't wait. And first of all, thank you to all of you guys out there watching us here on Twitch. I think this is the first real watch party that I've had on Twitch. I'm so thankful to her for joining us. So please do tell everyone where they can find you.
Yes, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Positive Fandom, as well as streaming on Twitch, also under Positive Fandom, where I do reviews and live streams and more. On Monday nights, you can find me streaming with Reina Creole and Mandy Summers and Nina Infinity and Cameron Pasha and Tom too
Mhm.
for Toxic Femininity. On Wednesdays and Thursdays, you can sometimes find me on the 1/6 Scale Man Network, either on Say What or Uncivilized Scoundrels. Of course, Thursdays, for the next few Thursdays, you will find me here streaming with Lorena, going through this wonderful new series on Amazon called
Mhm.
Reacher, which has incredible rewatchability. Go ahead and check it out, and we're going
Oh
to be
yeah.
continuing on that.
Mhm.
On Friday afternoons, you can find me on Midnight's Edge in the morning, streaming with Tom and Andre and Cameron. On Friday nights, you can find me on the Burn Network, streaming with Robert Meyer Burnett for with the Midnight Meta Show, as well as PGS All Stars and PGS Review shows on the Burn Network. And on Sunday, you can find me at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on my live show, my Sunday brunch. You can join
Ooh.
me. Yeah, it's a Sunday brunch. Grab your mimosas and let's parlay. Yeah, let's parlay and talk about what's going on in the world of fandom. And that is everything, Lorena.
Ah, my gosh, the girl is busy. Oh my gosh, give her a sub here on Twitch. Give her a
Yes.
sub over on
Thank
YouTube.
you.
She has some amazing, amazing content. So you do not want to miss
Thank
it.
you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. As for me, of course, tomorrow over on YouTube on at 12 noon, Paulie of the Latino Slant is going to be mine, and Fat Steven Seagal's guest on the Lunch Table Show. So
Yes.
please don't miss that. Also, Friday around 7:30 p.m. Eastern, I will be live streaming from Marvel Superhero Island over at Universal Orlando. We are going to check out this Silver Age themed area over at Universal. It's going to be amazing. And we're actually going to go on the Amazing Spider Man ride. You do
Oh, wow.
not want to freaking miss that. And Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern, also over on YouTube, I will have my 3K celebration stream. So please do come over and check that out. Sunday, of course, is Welcome to Florida. So 8 p.m. Eastern, come out there, check out Welcome to Florida. We go through some crazy ass Florida stories, and I already have more than I can fit in one episode. So now I'm going to have to take some of them out to go over. And of course, we talked about toxic femininity on Monday. On Tuesday, oh yeah. So on Tuesday, after school special show, George Molo, aka George the Giant Slayer, is going to be my guest on that show. And of course, Wednesday, Babe de Menace, 5 p.m. Eastern, will be on Eris of Chaos's YouTube channel, and 8:30 p.m. Eastern, the Dark Council will convene. So thank you guys so very much. Eventually, we'll be putting a little bit more content out here on Twitch. But in the meantime, join us next week for another installment of Toxic Masculinity Appreciation Theater. Second episode of Reacher. So we're going to do the live watch party, and then, of course, some analysis at the end. All right. So, first of all, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for
Thank you,
having me.
guys. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you for all of you watching this. Sure to appreciate that. Please do follow me over here on Twitch. Follow her over here on Twitch, and we will see you next time.